What is going on, Knicks Nation? We are back for another live stream edition. Today is Sunday, December 10th. The New York Knicks have had a couple of days off here after, losing the in-season tournament to the Milwaukee Bucks, and then they went to the Boston Celtics arena and lost against them. Before we, get into this podcast, as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Chris. Chris, what's going on, brother?
Doing all right, man. All considering, like you said, Knicks battled against the Bucks in the in-season tournament. We didn't come on top in that game, and went over to Boston as our consolation prize, right? And
Yep.
another rough game for the Knicks. But other than that, man, I'm doing all right, man. I'm feeling pretty good. How about you, man?
Feeling good. Yeah, the Knicks lost. As a result of losing to the Milwaukee Bucks, the Knicks had to play Boston again, and I think they're 0-5 against Boston and Milwaukee this year, 0-3 against Boston and 0-2 versus Milwaukee. So yeah, we'll touch on that in a bit. But in that game, Chris, before the game, we finally got some news that Quentin Grimes was, I wouldn't say bench, but he was demoted into the bench, and then Dante DiVincenzo got the start. I guess we could start on that first. What did you see in that? Did you like what you saw? Obviously Grimes, had a great game, and it was nice to see him bounce back. But were you surprised that it happened? Because I was surprised. I was surprised it took this long.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I didn't think, we've been talking about it on the pod and even various videos that you put out, man. You've been saying it, we need to find a way to get Grimes going. And, we say things like that, but hey, I guess enough people must have said something where Tibbs was like, all right, you know what, let's try it. Not really something that Tibbs normally does, but yeah, man, I was really surprised. And look, in my opinion, Grimes looked really good. He had a solid game. He was aggressive. Whether or not that comes from playing with the bench unit or not. I'll leave that up to you guys to decide. But man, he looked a lot better than he did in the starting lineup. Granted, small sample size, but I like what I saw.
He did, and he took 10 field goal attempts, and I believe that's the first time in about close to a month where he's taken that many field goal attempts. And it's funny that Dante got inserted into the starting lineup and his field goal attempts went down. But
Yeah.
yeah, 13 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 3 of 7 from three for Quentin Grimes, and he showed his playmaking a little bit, which we haven't seen this whole season. So hopefully that will get his confidence going. And defensively has been a struggle for the Knicks, and you could tell that the Boston Celtics, they wanted to attack Dante to start that game, and it didn't work for the most part. But the Knicks 3-point defense here in these last couple of games, Chris, has just been bad. Bucks shot the lights out. The Celtics, we match up poorly against them. They have a bunch of guys who obviously can create their own shot and get to the basket at will. Do you look at this 0-5 versus Boston and Milwaukee as an issue, or do you just say, hey, it's still early, let's calm down, we'll get there? Do you look at it as an issue, or is it just, it is what
I,
it is?
I don't know. It's a little bit of both, right? Because obviously you want to compete against teams like the Bucks and teams like Boston, but you know the Knicks are a good team, and we're still missing that superstar.
Yeah.
So I think until we acquire a superstar, then you really you'll take games like that a lot harder, in my opinion. But for now, I think competing against those teams is important. Um, Look, I know the Knicks are getting down big in these games and then making comebacks, which it's not what you want, but it's still a team that's playing hard and competing. So I'll take that any night versus a lot of the Knicks teams we've had in the past, right? Um, yeah, I'm kind of split on that. Which way do you go, in my opinion? You could
But
go both ways, really.
look, at some point we got to show the fans and show the world that we can beat this team. Look, the Bucks improved; they got Dame, obviously, and the Celtics improved, and they got Porzingis, and they got Drew Holiday. So we all know those were the cream of the top of the East. So we came into the season saying the Bucks are at top and the Celtics are at top, and we're like in the middle with like everyone in bunched together. The Cavs, now the Pacers, now the Magic. In order for us to reach that top, I mean, yeah, something has to be done. And, something has to be done because we're seeing that we're not, we just can't compete as of right now on their level. I mean, I know last year we had Boston's number, but they're a totally different team. They don't have Robert Williams. They're totally different. They acquired Porzingis and they did what they had to do in the offseason to get better. And so did the Bucks. They got Dame Dollar. So, yeah, I would look at it as a little bit of concern, and I guess that's why we're hearing noise out of, like, the TNT crew and, Stephen A. Smith on ESPN saying the Knicks are just, not good enough to compete with the big dogs. But it's just whether or not, whether or not you're on the side of your patient or whether or not you want them to, improve now and build off of last season. But, yeah, the Knicks record versus 500, Knicks record above 500 team versus 500 teams and above are about 3-9. The 3-9 in the season versus teams below 500, they are, 9-0? So they're taking care of business for sure. They're taking care of business, which we should be doing. I mean, take care of business, take care of the teams you're supposed to beat. But against teams that are 500 and above, they're just not doing it this year. And look, Boston's 10-4, Magic are 6-6, the Bucks 7-4, Philly 6-7. So the Knicks are on the bottom echelon of that group. But yeah, I'm gonna play a clip from the TNT crew coming up in a bit. But I don't know. I mean, it's just something has to be done, and I feel like this trading deadline, it's going to be done. I feel like something has to. We're already hearing noise that the Knicks brass is already saying that we have too many guys that do the same thing. Quote, there are people inside the Knicks this is from Fred Katz. There are people inside the Knicks organization who understand that there are too many guys situation that could be brewing. So they have too many guards pretty much. And my take on that is now you're just realizing that. We all know coming into the season we had a bunch of guards. And now you're just realizing that, maybe it wouldn't work. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think the circling back to what I think is the most concerning part of this, is that we were banking on this Knicks squad having a lot of continuity together, right? The team hasn't changed largely from the last season, where we had a really good season. We finished that season strong, made a push in the playoffs, made a little run, took it to the Heat. So we were banking on, man, we added some more shooting with Dante. This team is going to be, if not just as good, better. And it hasn't really played out that way. So I guess that's the part that concerns me the most. But in my opinion, I think it's still, it's still early. We still got time to right the ship. And look, we didn't have primetime Julius, and it looks like Julius is turning the corner. So, every little bit helps, and I think we're still trending in the right direction, even with these two past losses against the Bucks and against the Celtics.
Yeah, some notes for the game versus Toronto. I think Brunson is questionable. Obviously, we had Jalen Brunson got hurt last 12 seconds of the game. That was a whole situation and story on Twitter. And Mitchell Robinson is out tomorrow. So we're going to get a dose of Isaiah Hartenstein, and we're going to get a dose of Jericho Sims. I'm going to play Every Live's in the chat. What's going on, man? Always appreciate you. We are a tier 2 team. Everyone got better but us. This is just shows that a move has to be made to upgrade that 2-guard spot. Is it to upgrade that 2-guard spot, or is it to upgrade more? Think about that, man. Let me play this clip, and then we'll talk about that. That was blasphemous, Chris.
What?
They don't have a player that's better than Banchero. But, yeah.
Wow.
Jalen Brunson is better than Banchero. Come on. And I would say Randall right now is better than him. Oh, first of all, what would you disagree in that? I mean, essentially, Kenny Smith is saying that the New York Knicks don't go into, any game, which is false, without the best player. He lists a bunch of names, Banchero, which I disagree with. Look, Hallie Burns playing on another level again. I guess you could argue that. But I guess their point is pretty much is what we're trying to get at, Chris, is that the Knicks need another guy because right now they're just in the middle. Maybe they came off it like the wrong way, like haters, like they don't like the Knicks. They seem like they had, that tone. But I mean, if you take a step back and really, think about what they're trying to say, it's pretty much what we already know. And it's pretty much what we're waiting for, right? That next domino to fall.
Yeah, I mean, I think you summed it up best. I think they're just trying to, get that point across that the Knicks need that, upper echelon type of player. They just kind of went around, they went about it the wrong way, in my opinion. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm a little offended. I mean,
Yeah.
I know. Look, don't get me wrong. Halliburton is a hell of a player. He's gonna be one of those superstar types of players if he continues going the way he is. But as of right now, I mean, I don't think he's done as much, as a Jalen Brunson. You know, going to Bankero, for instance. I think Julius Randle right now, again, All NBA, has been an All Star. Come on, Bankero probably has a higher ceiling because he's younger
Yeah.
and still has a lot of room to grow.
That I agree
I
with
get
you.
that, but as of right now, come on, that's a diss to these Knicks players, especially Jalen Brunson, man. I mean, he Jalen Brunson should be a star. We all know he is a star, and he's playing like one ever since he put on that Knick uniform. But going back to the overall point is, I agree with them. The Knicks do need that superstar talent, and let's be honest. I mean, right now, that's like what, 7 players probably in the NBA right now that are you can call superstar talents that will get you to that next level.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy to get one of these guys.
Keith said, telling the truth isn't disrespect. A lot of Knicks fans don't like the truth about this team. Facts, man. Agree with you. What's up? What's going on, Keith? But yeah, I guess, what is that player? What's the player that brings us to that next level? Is it, the Bogdanovich? Is it Anunoby? Does Toronto, trade with us after we're suing them? Is it Zion? I feel like Zion is putting on the fat suit right now. Everyone's calling Zion fat. He's fat in LA. He's fat in Vegas. He got on the fat suit. Stephen A said he saw a belly. Is he pulling a James
Oh
Harden right
man.
now? Does Zion want to trade to New York? We all know he loves New York. And then when he comes to New York, he'll drop like 20 pounds. Hey, sign me up for that, right? But who is it? I mean, look, I could picture a Bogdanovich on the team. I can damn sure picture a Zion on the team. It's just whether or not what can get that deal done. A Bogdanovich, I don't think will be a lot. Evan Fournier, first round pick, maybe something else. And I feel like that'll make our team better. And Anunoby, maybe a Siakam. Siakam's an expiring deal too. Like I said, I'm not sure Toronto wants to trade with us due to the whole situation with the lawsuit, but Siakam's an expiring deal. He's another name you could throw in there. But it's just a matter of what you would give up. Like for Bogdanovich, Chris, I mean, a lot of fans are like, would he help our team? Yes, but he's not the guy that we should be going after. But in my opinion, you start there because if you insert him, a Bogdanovich, into the starting lineup, are we better? Yeah, we're better. We're bigger, and we could shoot better. Obviously, he's a sniper. He's also a playmaker too. He can distribute the rock as well. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Bogdanovich and an OB Zion with the fat suit. I mean, I don't know.
To be honest, I think a trade for like a Bogdanovich would be perfect in my opinion. He would fit really well with us. But just thinking of like what the TNT guys are saying, they're not talking about a player like Anunoby or a Bogdanovich or even a Zion at this point, because really what has Zion done, right? Up to this point in the NBA. They're talking about getting a player like, you're talking about Joel Embiid. You're talking about a, Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, in my opinion. That's the ones that they're talking about are going to bring us to the next level.
The TNT crew.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's who they're talking about, in my opinion. And to be honest, those guys are not available, and they might not be available. So, in my opinion, the next logical step would be to get somebody like a Bogdanovich. Hell, maybe you even kick the tires again on Donovan Mitchell, right? But again, there's not that many players out there that fit this team, I guess you can say. But do we want to go with fit, or do we just get a player regardless of the fit and just try to make it work just because they're a, star player? I mean, that's the kind of the questions you got to ask, because not that I want the Knicks to be scared to make a move just because of fit, because you do have to take risks.
You gotta shake it up,
It's
man.
just you make the wrong move and you set yourself back. So, but I mean, that's the risk, right?
But if you don't make any move, you're just
You just
you
stay in the
stay
middle.
you stay in the middle, and that's what they're insinuating. So
Yeah,
look, which is why I wanted them to dabble in the Porzingis sweepstakes this past summer, maybe the Drew Holiday, and something like that, but they didn't want to do it. So hit some of these comments in the chat. The comments are buzzing tonight. Smash that thumbs up button. As always, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Buzzbeater says that the Knicks finished less than fourth seed in the East. Is Thibs gone? Who's replace him? No, I don't think Thibs is gone. LV Live says they are right. They are basically speaking of the top teams. We cannot compete. In order to get to the next level, we need a top player. That's what me and Chris are pondering now. Is it a top player, or is it, a guy like a Bogdanovich, an Anunoby, someone like that, that can at least give us an extra chance to compete with the top dogs? Because if the top dogs aren't available, why not improve your team in other, small increments, Keith said, I love Brunson, but he has a lot of limitations. Calling RJ Ronald is disrespectful. TNT don't care. Wow, he called RJ Ronald? I didn't even hear that. That's
I
crazy.
did not hear that either.
LV Live says what you says. No one is available that would move the needle. The top guys are very expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like Zach LaVine, that's a no. And
that's a,
Shams,
that's a,
that's a no, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I, I I mean, Levine just, not only do I think he just doesn't fit, but I just
The
don't see
contract.
it with Levine.
Yeah.
The contract, yeah, the contract is terrible.
Keith says, what does Bojan do that Fournier don't already? They're basically the same player. I think Bogdanovich is like 6'8", 6'9". He's bigger. He's a sniper. He's a playmaker. He's more of a playmaker than Evan Fournier. But yeah, I mean, if it was
He's
like,
less of, he's less of a turnstile too.
yeah, if it was someone like him, it wouldn't be. It's cost effective, right? It wouldn't be that expensive. So, and then he says, but Bojan isn't an upgrade, not even a little bit. DeRozan and Dame said they wanted to come to New York. That's a big change compared to players treating us like, yeah. Yeah, DeRozan listed us on a list. Dame said he would come to New York. Again, the Dame is another guy who was, willing to get traded here, and then we passed up on Dame. And Porzingis, that was floated out there, but the Knicks didn't pull the trigger on that. And it's just, I feel like now the Knicks are at a point in the season. What are they, 12-9? They're hitting this rough stretch. They've had back-to-back tough losses against the Celtics and the Bucks. And I feel like fans are starting to get antsy because I feel like that we see the writing on the wall. We see the end game, but that hasn't come yet, which is, a little bit of premature in my opinion. But, Knicks fans are, very reactionary, and yeah, I can tell, I can relate to them, Chris, because, we've said the same things that their concerns are,
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. I mean, we're all Knicks fans here, so we feel a lot of the same. And we all want the team to be better, man. We all want that superstar talent, but you know, like I mentioned, there's just those stars, those superstars. They're hard to acquire, man. It's like almost once in a lifetime type of chance. And I think back to when the Knicks got Melo, man. That's what exactly what the Knicks had to trade almost their entire team basically to get Melo.
I'll push back on you about
Yeah.
that.
Ooh,
I don't think superstars are hard to acquire anymore.
you don't think so?
Who got
Someone
traded
like
this
a
summer?
Joel Embiid,
Damian Lillard. What did he get traded for? Yeah, he got traded for a bunch of
but
seconds and swaps, and then obviously it led to Drew Holiday, and Drew Holiday got flipped for more stuff. But he wasn't traded for, 8 first-round picks like Donovan Mitchell was rumored to be traded for last season. Bradley Beal, I know he got the bad back, but he's rumored to be coming back soon, this week, I believe. He wasn't traded for anything due to his contract. Now, whether you want to put Bradley Beal in a superstar status, Kristaps Porzingis for Boston. Is he the big superstar name? But no, but he stretches the floor. He does all everything for that team. And look, he got hurt again this season, but now he's back doing his thing. So when you say that, they're not available like they used to be, there's guys available. It's just whether or not it's the guys you want, because whether or not it's the guys you think that will fit this team. Would a Porzingis have fit this team?
Yeah,
Would,
I wanted Porzingis on this team.
would a Bradley Beal have fit this team? I know he has the back, so I mean, scratch that. But Damian
I
Lillard,
mean,
you know,
so going back to Bradley Beal and even Damian Lillard, I mean, you say that, and I get it. The packages weren't, you know, crazy, right? Packages to acquire these guys, but these are guys that stayed on their teams for how long before they actually started entertaining trade to other team? I mean, come on,
and they're
these
older.
aren't
They're
prime
older
time
too.
players.
Yeah.
They're older. So that's why you're able to get them, They're older. They got a couple years, maybe 3 years tops, maybe. If they stay healthy, In my opinion, that's why that happens. Now, if you're telling me you're gonna go to the Suns and say, hey, I'll give you 6 second rounders for Devin Booker. Are they doing that? I
No.
don't think so. Even if Devin Booker wanted out, they're gonna get a haul for him, man.
Yeah, I guess the point I'm trying to make is like I kind of want Knicks fans to like stop thinking of the big fish, and I kind of want them to start thinking of savvy moves that will improve our team, because we're not. I don't think when Embiid is coming, like Embiid. I don't think, Spider maybe, but does he make us better? Paired with Brunson, I don't think so. I just feel like it's time for us to start. This is just my opinion. I feel like it's time for us to start looking at like a OG Anunoby, a Bogdanovich, Pascal Siakam, someone like that will improve our team little by little, because it seems like the more we wait for that big fish, like what if that fish is never gonna come? What if Embiid is happy in Philly all of a sudden? What if Luka is happy in Dallas? Devin Booker is, what if they're winning? It's just feast or famine, man.
Oh yeah, I agree. I know exactly where you're going, and it's
Yeah,
basically that's pretty much the way I feel too. I mean, we all want these superstars. We want a Luka. We want a Devin Booker. Things were looking good. For getting an Embiid in here. Everything, all the drama with Harden. Not knowing what that team was going to look like, but the season comes around and they got rid of Harden and they look pretty damn good. So you can almost scratch Embiid off the list, right?
yeah.
And that's my fear. The Knicks just sitting around, not taking that risk, waiting for that superstar that might not ever be available to them. So, like you, I would rather, make a smaller trade, get a Bogdanovich. If you could somehow get an Anunoby, I think that helps. And hell, maybe take a flyer on a Zion, right? Because
That's
you
a
know,
big swing. That's a Zion.
that,
That's a big
in
swing.
my opinion, that would
And
be.
I would do that.
I mean,
I would do
that's
that.
the splashy one, I guess, in my opinion, that I know
Yeah,
everybody would get excited for, right?
yeah.
The only thing that worries me about Zion is, are you going to get the same Zion from the Pelicans, who's not motivated, who doesn't want to stay in shape, who, I don't know, man, he's just kind of collecting a paycheck? Or are you going to get Zion from the Duke days, back together with RJ and motivated? I mean, I hope the latter if we were to ever make a trade like that. But you never know in that scenario either. You might end up trading for Zion and it'd be the the reincarnation of Eddie Curry.
Oh gosh. No, I feel. Look, he comes here. Bring him to New York with his boy RJ. Good vibes. Keep him away. Keep him away from keep him away from the good food spots in the city.
Oh, that's
Just
impossible,
keep
man.
keep him away from that. Give him a good chef. Hire a full time chef. Watch him. Put an Apple AirTag in his bag or something. Make sure he's not wandering off into these ice cream spots and eating. But that's the fish I would go for, man. A Zion Williamson. That's a big name that like I believe you said it a few podcasts ago. Not no one really talking about it, but he wants to get out of there. And I feel
Yeah.
like if the Knicks are going to entertain that, that is what I would do. I'm going to play this clip from Shams, and then we can hop back in this conversation.
going to look as we get closer and closer to sort of a trade deadline situation? Will moves be made?
They're monitoring the marketplace. They want to see if there's a star player that's available that they would go all in for. They have 8 first-round draft picks that they can trade, Michelle. 4 of their own, 4 from other teams. So they've kept a lot of their assets. They have a ton of tradable contracts as well. They have a couple of young players. We think of guys like Quentin Grimes, Emmanuel Quickly. So they've got pieces. If they want to go make an aggressive bid for a superstar player, I think they have what it takes. The question is, do they find the guy out there that they would want to do it for? Would you put all your chips in the middle? Would you trade, 3, 4 first-round picks for Karl-Anthony Towns? Like, to what capacity do they go all in for? I think these are all questions that they have to answer. But I think they're keeping an open mind with the marketplace, and I think they are monitoring which star they want to go all in for.
Karl-Anthony Towns. Again, name got thrown in there. But LV says to get Zion, you have to move Randle and some pieces and picks. Julius Randle switch agencies this past summer. So take that for what you will. Maybe he sees the writing on the wall. Maybe he sees the Knicks' directions. The New York Knicks did not pay Emmanuel Quickly as well. So he is also tradable. Not tradable, but he is an option. I mean, I don't want to personally trade him. I'm just saying they're keeping their options open. So he would be, a valuable trade chip along with Grimes. Obviously, you still got the Fournier expiring deal in the bag, Chris. But would you trade 3 first-round picks for Karl-Anthony Towns? I wouldn't. If you're bringing in Towns, you would have to trade Randle but would a Randle work better with the Brunson? Would a Towns work better with the Brunson?
I don't know. I just don't see why you even do that. In my opinion, I just feel like Karl-Anthony Towns and Julius Randle are kind of the same player, in my opinion. Why even do that? And Julius has a better contract. In my opinion, look, I know
That
Julius
I
has his
agree with.
moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, Julius has his moments and all that, but I've seen Cat have tantrums too. Let's be real. You're not, in my opinion, it's not, it doesn't do anything for me, in my
Yeah.
opinion. I feel like it's more of a lateral move more than, you can't even say you're slightly improving. I know Cat can turn it up and go another level, but we've even seen Julius do that as well. I think they're very comparable guys, and I don't see how that moves the needle for us.
Yeah, his contract is, look, we spoke about it countless amount of times. Look, Minnesota Timberwolves are one of the best teams in the NBA, so I don't even see them, entertaining that. Maybe they just, want to improve on that team, but eventually, they're going to have to unload on that. LV says to get Zion, you have to move Randle and some pieces. And then he says, I mentioned that we should go after Zion, but we have to keep him away from Golden Crust and White Castles. We got to keep Zion away from Golden Crust.
That White Castle, man.
You got to keep him away, bro. I'm telling you, hire somebody, get him in shape, the guard in the bright lights, RJ Barrett, make him your roommate, pair him with RJ. If RJ Barrett, was single, he broke up with his girlfriend last year and RJ Barrett took a step back. So maybe Zion can move in with RJ Barrett and, they can become buddies again. We can have the Duke days back and dominance, Zion throwing windmills in MSG. Come on now. We got this. Bring Zion to New York, man.
You got it all figured out, man. That's the route to go.
Bring Zion to New York. That's all I'm saying. And then he says, I don't go after Cat. Stay away from him, and Cat is injury prone. Yeah. It's just going to be interesting what they do these next couple of months. It's going to be interesting, Chris, because this stretch coming up. We got the Raptors tomorrow, depending when you're listening to this today. If you're listening to this tomorrow, and then we hit the West Coast at Utah, at Phoenix, at Clippers, at Lakers, who just won the in-season tournament, at the Nets, versus Milwaukee again. Oh look, versus Milwaukee again. At the Thunder, at the Magic, Indiana, Minnesota. Tough, man.
That's another thing, though, I have to bring up. Like they like to point at the Knicks, say we need this superstar and all that. And look, yes, we do. We do need that superstar talent. But why does nobody mention the hell of a schedule we've been given and the fact that we're
terrible.
over 500?
Yeah.
You know, in my opinion, again, you could say, "Oh, you're not beating the best of the best," but man, how many back to backs? How many times have we played the Bucks, Boston? You know, look, I get it. It's a schedule. You got to play who's in front of you, but you know, the Knicks are not under 500. We're over 500.
Yep.
Even though we lost the past two games, you know, we have an incredibly tough schedule, in my opinion. I mean, come on, man. I feel like not enough recognition is going to that.
Right, indeed. I got some nerd stats for you, Chris, from everybody too. The Knicks are 24th in the NBA in efficiency field goal percentage at 52%. They're not really being efficient. 20% of their shots are at the rim, which is 23rd in the NBA, which makes sense considering they're bad when it comes to shots within 5 feet. They're 30th in the league in that aspect. So they're not attempting shots at the rim because they're not really converting. And when they are attempting them, they're not making them. They're allowing opponents to shoot 37% from three, which is 22nd in the NBA, and that was, a strong point in our beginning of the season, Chris. And it seems like we've taken a step back in our 3-point defense, and 42% from corner threes, which is 26th in the NBA. So, is it something? Is it like a defensive scheme, or is it just like? There's been times when I've seen like a Julius Randle, obviously. When it comes to defensive possession, we all know what Julius Randle does on that end. But, Jalen Brunson as well. I'm not pointing at Julius Randle as the only culprit, but, it's just – and also teams are just shooting the lights out against us too. So you factor all that in, Chris, and that's where you get these numbers from.
So that's something I've actually been thinking about, and I've been wondering maybe could it be the defensive scheme that we have? Look, it's no surprise the Knicks play kind of that drop defense. Obviously we want to protect the paint, but is that something that really makes sense when you're playing a Boston Celtics team or a Bucks team, right? Where they want to get in the paint, Giannis wants to drive in the paint, and they're surrounded by shooters. What I've seen a lot of is really a lot of what's plagued us in the past. Just guys driving, breaking down the defense, and when the Knicks drop, it's either a pass to the corners where Brunson is either late to get out to his man, or there's just a wide open shooter because they swing the ball around and everybody's just packed in the paint because everybody's dropping. I think Tibbs has to be a little bit more creative on the defensive end, man. It can't just be this drop defense every single time, because it can't be a coincidence that 2 out of the 3 teams that we faced recently have shot lights out against us, and this is not 35-40%. You're talking about 50s pretty much. Like, that's insane. It can't be a coincidence, man. That means that these guys are getting wide open 3-point practice shots basically against us.
Yeah, when you make the switch for Dante in the starting lineup for, Quentin Grimes to the bench, obviously that takes a hit on your defense as well. Not tremendously, but it takes a hit. And I have a cool little stat here. Dante DiVincenzo is shooting 59% from corner threes on 17 of 29 attempts. So he's one of the best in the NBA at doing that, 59% from corner threes. So when he's in the corner and shooting them, he is making them. But circling back, obviously, Knicks are 12-9 on the season. We're starting to, we're going to hit this big stretch. Me and Chris just wanted to hop on here and talk about, some possible, things to shake up, some possible trades, some things that can improve this squad. Got some good results in the comments as well. And, Chris, we're seeing Obi Toppin play well. We're seeing Cam Reddish last night played, okay. And, for Obi Toppin, I just feel like he wasn't going to be Obi Toppin in a New York Knicks uniform. Like, he wasn't going to play like he was capable of as a New York Knick. And we all saw it coming when he went to Indiana, more free, the ball moves on that team, everyone's sharing the rock. And when you have guys, like, sometimes I think, like, when you have, like, Brunson, Barrett, Randall, as long as that trio is together, like, the guy starting him, that's why we've heard some, last year Mitchell Robinson was, upset, and this year Quentin Grimes, pretty much wasn't playing to his, full, capable of what he's playing, what he could play for. But I just feel like when you have those 3 high usage players, Chris, I just feel like is that what's going to bring us over the top, or is that, the foundation for something? Can we surround those three players with something better?
Yeah, I mean that's a hell of a question in my opinion,
Yeah,
because like you said, Grimes has been struggling in the starting lineup, and not to make a big deal out of it, but
because
Dante
sorry to
was
cut you off
inserting him.
before
Yeah,
you go on, because we know what we're gonna get from Randall. We know what we're gonna get essentially from RJ. He's gonna have great stretches, and then he's going to pull back a little bit. Then he's going to be efficient, inefficient. Still young, can still improve. Brunson, we know what we're gonna get from him. So I don't know. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah, go ahead.
no, yeah, I mean I get it, but like it's kind of tough because you were mentioning Grimes, and Grimes was struggling obviously in the starting lineup. They inserted Dante, and it's kind of like the role reversal happened. Grimes had a decent game. Dante only took 6 shots, right? So I mean, look, Brunson, RJ, Randall, they're gonna command those shots. And who do you surround them with? In my opinion, again, it has to be either a star player that's at their level, at a level of Jalen Brunson or Julius Randle, someone who's not scared to be like, hey, I'm taking this shot, I'm taking control of this game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could be someone like a DeMar DeRozan, someone who just has the experience, has taken the big shots. Again, I know no, like a lot of people don't like that fit, but that's somebody who I was looking at being in New York, if he wants to come here.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's the type of player that you would have to insert there. We're kind of seeing it with Grimes already. He's not being aggressive, when he's in the starting lineup. Then he's on the bench, he's taking 10 shots, right? Attacking the rim. These things that we haven't seen him do
Yeah.
this year in the starting lineup. So,
Yep.
in my opinion, I think that's kind of like the type of dudes you have to surround RJ, Randall, and Brunson with. Someone who has experience, someone who's been there. More importantly, a star level talent.
Guys that aren't afraid, guys that aren't
Exactly.
afraid to get, hey, I'm taking a shot, I'm not passing the rock. And yeah, there's a good point you made. Look, the Knicks are, I feel like when push comes to shoves, we're going to, obviously make it to obviously the playoffs and maybe the second round, but it's just whether you're on the side of, you're comfortable watching a good product night in, night out that makes you happy. Or you're obviously, we've been crap these last, before this nice couple of years, Chris, we've been absolutely a disaster. So obviously it's nice watching obviously good basketball, but it's whether or not you're just on that side or whether you're on the side of, look, we made it to the second round and now it's time to, push forward. Now it's time to push in all your chips, push in on your assets, get better than Boston, get better than Milwaukee. It's just there's two sides of the spectrum, and most fans side on one side, most fans side on the other. And I just feel like Leon Rose at some point is going to have to pull that trigger. He hasn't yet. And yeah, man, at some point he's going to have to make a big trade.
Yeah, we can't hold on to this core of players forever. Quickly, whether he gets traded or not, he's going to either get traded or get signed, right? And that's even more money off our books, and then, or I should say, coming on our books, and then Grimes too. Eventually, will need to get paid. I think that's kind of something I wish the Knicks would have done, is like add more young talent to the roster.
Yeah.
Actually drafts. The picks are coming up, right? We're gonna have to draft some players if we don't use them, right? So maybe that's something they look into doing. But like you said, we're gonna have to make a move sooner or later. We can't just hold on to all these picks. Sound like a broken record past
Yeah,
year
no, for real,
and
right?
change, but hopefully something will come. Not just for the sake of it, but hopefully something that makes sense for us.
Puzzy Reader in the chat says Dante for Grimes is the equivalent to rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. Yeah, and that brings up the comment that we heard previously that people in the front office, and when you hear about the Knicks, right, it's always people or certain people or voices.
Yeah.
Or there's never just one voice, one voice making the decisions. It's everyone having their own opinion. Maybe that factors into the equation too. Maybe, Leon Rose just has to take initiative and stop listening to this person and that person, because every time these reports come out from Begley or, Katz, it's always like some voices in the Knicks organization. So yeah. What do you think about what do you think about people when they say that Leon Rose only cares about relationships and doesn't really care about, the success of the team, and he only cares about looking out for people? Because I saw a lot of that with Obi Toppin. Traded Obi Toppin 2 second-round picks just so he can get into a better situation in Indiana. What do you say about that?
I don't really buy into that. I mean, look, could you think that because they did Obi Toppin a solid? You can say that, and then not only that, but then they go and they draft his well, not draft, but they sign his
Yeah, his
brother on
brother.
top of
Yeah,
that, kind of taking care of the family in a sense. I guess you could, if you just take that for what it is, you kind of might go in that direction, but I don't believe you can't be that way when you're in the position of Leon Rose. Your
can't.
entire job is to make this team better, to make this team a championship contender, and to ultimately put yourself in position to win a championship.
Yeah,
And look, you can't always please everybody when you're in that position. So you're going to have some good relationships and you're going to have a lot of bad relationships because you're going to have to make tough decisions. And I know I'm talking like I'm somebody who's been in that position and know about it, but I clearly don't. But I'm just saying that's what I think. Um, being in that type of position would entitle, in my opinion. Like you can't just be Mr. Nice Guy all the time. You can't be, hey, I'm going to take care of you from beginning to end of your career, whether you're a Knick or not. Um, I know once a
it's a
Knick, always a
business.
Knick, but damn, that's kind of taking it too far, in my opinion. I don't buy that. I don't buy that, man.
I don't buy it either, but it is a business, and we've seen Leon obviously take care of Top. Look, Toppin is playing well in the G League, so it's not like he's a bum and we just signed his brother. He's been dropping 30 points in the G League, and I guess you could say that with Archer Donacchio taking care of helping out Brunson's boys and whatnot, and the Villanova crew, getting those cats together. So I see that side of where they're coming from, but also I hope Leon Rose takes this as business and stop listening. There's too many voices in the front office and whatnot. And yeah, you're hearing these TNT, the crew. We played the clip earlier. Pretty much say, look, they're pretty much not respecting us, right? They're pretty much calling us a mid team. And there's a lot of mid teams in the East. You have the Knicks always get magnified because
Yeah.
no one's really talking about the Cavs, right? What's going on with Cleveland? There's a lot of those teams in the East. Bulls are a disaster right now, but people want to throw jabs at the Knicks, but there was some truth in that statement from the TNT crew. Something needs to get done, and this next road trip, Chris, I don't know, it kind of scares me a little bit, man. Kind of scares me, but hopefully the Dante switch with Grimes, hopefully that will get Grimes going off the bench. I really loved what I saw from Grimes. It was a refresher, honestly. Like seeing him play make, seeing him hit open shots. He just wasn't. He was in his own head in the starting lineup, and if he can continue, baby steps for Quentin Grimes, and hopefully we can get something going, because this next 10 games or so is tough, really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, this Nick. You went through the schedule a bit, and wow, there's
yeah.
some really tough matchups in there. And when it's not a tough matchup, it's a decent team at that. So we're gonna need everybody, man. We're gonna need Grimes to continue to build off of the game against the Celtics, and hopefully Dante gives us a spark from that 2 spot in the starting lineup, man. We're gonna need it.
For sure. Steven in the chat says, we have to make a move ASAP now. Let's get Brunson a star and get some help. We need to act now. No more waiting. Pull the trigger. So Steven falls into the, fans that want to pull the trigger, And hey, I don't blame you for feeling that way, Steven. I don't blame you at all. And Buzzer Beater says Jacob is balling out in the G League. Is he worth calling up? They did actually have him on the bench versus the Bucks. I saw him on the bench.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, he was actually on the bench. Maybe, who knows? Maybe they're thinking about giving him some spot minutes here and there. look, it's no secret we need a forward, to back up Julius Randle. I mean, the Hart experiment is going okay. I think it's going decent for for what it is. But you really need
Against certain teams, it's going
against
decent.
certain teams, yeah. But when it's like, you know,
The Bucks,
when he's going up against Giannis or something,
the
it's like,
Celtics, yeah.
or the Celtics for that matter. Yeah, that's when it's just like, come on, man. Like,
That's what
I
I'm
know
scared. Like
I
that's what
know
I'm
Hart
scared
is
of.
scrappy, but
Like, say we get a first round matchup versus the Bucks or the Celtics. God forbid, Julius was to ever go down like he, did last playoffs. I mean, which is
yeah,
why I think the Knicks need to make. They need to get someone else in here, man. They need to get another big in here, another wing. They need a 3-and-D guy because, yeah, it's cute playing, the Hart at the 4, but that's against certain like the Hornets. Like I read to you the stats against teams below 500. The Knicks are awesome, but against those
yeah,
trash teams, I'm trying to trash teams, but teams that are not good in
true.
the NBA, it works. But Boston,
Yeah.
Milwaukee, and it doesn't work.
I mean, let's be real. When you're facing the Hornets, when you're facing the Washington Wizards, they're not gonna take advantage of that matchup. That
Yeah,
they when you go against the Celtics, when you go against the Bucks, they're gonna see Josh Hart at the 4, and they're gonna be like, "All right, Portis, you're gonna kill this guy in the paint."
yeah,
And that's exactly what they did for the most part. Don't get me wrong. Hart is out there battling. He's trying to swipe. He's trying to stop them, be a pest, but you can't teach height, man. That's one thing. These forwards, they're damn near 7-footers on most rosters. So it's a problem, man. It's a problem, and I think the Knicks really have to look. I know Julius might play every single minute of almost every single game, but like you said, you know, what if this was last year? Julius Randle goes down. We miss him against the Cavs. We miss him against the Heat series, and you have Josh Hart playing the 4. That's a mismatch for both those teams. So it's something we definitely got to shore up. We got to have somebody in there, a veteran or somebody's out there that we can sign, right? A Rudy Gay type or something like that.
yeah. Hopefully, it's a better player than, than that. But look, versus
He
the
just popped into my head for some reason.
no, yeah, no, yeah, versus the Bucks, we actually saw Tom Thibodeau stagger Randall with Giannis. Like every time Giannis sat, Randall sat, and every time
Yeah,
Giannis came back in, Randall came back in. You essentially have to do that because
yeah,
against those teams like that, against the Bucks and the Celtics and the teams in the West that have guys that can just take advantage of the matchups, it's gonna be tough. And you're asking Randall to do a lot on that defensive end. And granted, his offense has come here. And last game versus Celtics, I believe he went back to 6 turnovers. Didn't like to see that, but hopefully this game tomorrow versus Toronto can get we can get on the winning side again and go out west and take care of business. As long as we finish that West Coast trip, 500, sign me up for that. Smash that thumbs button, guys, in the chat. Let's join the chat so we can chop it up about the New York Knicks. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already as well. Chris, you wanted to bring up the third quarter of doom. Knicks, man,
yeah,
and these
man.
third quarters. What's going on?
What what is it about the third quarter, man? This has been a few years ongoing. I mean, I thought we kind of put that to bed last year.
Yeah,
But man, it just seems like almost every single game, the third quarter rolls around and the Knicks just come out flat every single time. And it's not till fourth quarter rolls around, that we make some crazy push down 20, down 15, cut it to 6, maybe 4, and then either we close out the game or we don't, and we end up losing by 10.
yeah.
What do you think? What is going on in the locker room at the half?
You
What is
essentially
happening?
you have to point that to coaching, right? I mean, at the end of the day, teams are making the adjustments. You go into halftime, you make adjustments, and it seems like the Knicks are coming out flat because they're not really making the adjustments. So hopefully, it's been a trend now for
Yeah.
years. It's not like weeks. It's been a trend for years. This Knicks team hasn't really, found the rhythm in third quarters. But I guess we just have to hope. We've seen some games this year where the Knicks have come out strong in the third quarter, but maybe Tom Thibodeau's giving it to them in the halftime locker room. We just have to hope it flips around because you cannot just keep coming out flat in these third quarters, and the teams are going to make adjustments. And you're pretty much crapped out of luck at that point. Because fourth quarter comes around, that's when you have to hunker down, and that's the NBA
Yeah,
for
I
you.
mean, it's tough when we're having these really bad third quarters where it's almost as if the Knicks just, they have no energy or something, or they're just not motivated to play. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe Tibbs is going at them, but man, maybe he should scale it back a bit because these dudes are really taking it difficult. It's taking a whole quarter for them to shake it off, basically. Um, I don't know, man. It's kind of it's frustrating, because the Knicks don't play competitive basketball. We've seen it the past two games.
Yeah.
They're right there with the Bucks. They're right there with the Celtics. Then bang, third quarter comes around and it's just like boom, in a blink of an eye, almost you're down 15, you're down 20, and they just don't look the same. So it's concerning, man. Is this something? Do you point to Tibbs? Do you point to that it being just strictly coaching, or just is he not making the adjustments in your opinion? Because again, I hate to bring that up, but it's kind of been the rap for Tibbs too.
Oh yeah, I pointed Dibs. That's what I pointed Dibs about. Look, we saw some stagnantness in the versus the Miami Heat. Obviously, it was tough to score, but that I point that to Dibs. It's just bottom line. I point that to Dibs. And look, the players take some blame too. I'm not gonna not point any fingers at the players, but coaches make adjustments halftime, and that's what you got to do. And hopefully, it changes during this next 10 games because it's tough, man.
Yeah.
It's tough. Buzzbeater says we need a stretch five, a big 3 and D wing, and a star. That's a heck of a Christmas lift. Chris, if I was to give you Zion Williamson, Bogdanovich, OG Anunoby, Siakam, Ingram, and New Orleans, maybe that will, transpire. Is there someone I'm missing? Like, who would you be like, okay, I would go for that, and that would improve our team? Because, like, who would that be?
I would like an OG because I think he just answers
Don't
a
forget
lot
Zion's in
of.
there.
Yeah, I know Zion's in there, but I have my reservations, man. I have my reservations with Zion and his motivation to actually play. I think an OG right now would fit really well. Obviously, he defends. He can knock down the shot. He's not a sniper by any means, but he's an up and coming player, right?
Yeah.
Someone who they're projecting might be a star at some point. Um, I like OG's fit. He adds length to the team. He's a taller wing. That pushes RJ maybe to the two. Who knows? I like that. And then I got to go back to someone like a Donovan Mitchell, man. I think the firepower from a Donovan Mitchell would help us. I mean, you know, does that move the needle extremely high for the Knicks and take them to that next level? Who knows? Nobody really knows till he's on the team, right? But you know, we all know Donovan Mitchell can score, right? Does he play defense? No, but I think they can make it work. In my opinion, the offensive output for Donovan Mitchell, in my opinion, can mask his defensive shortcomings any day.
Yeah. Yeah. Will they explore the Mitchell thing? I don't know. He's not going to sign that extension. He's not. He doesn't want to be in Cleveland. But I guess we just have to wait and see. Maybe that transpires. OG, he wants a big bag. And I feel like
Yeah.
he's a good player, but I don't know, man. I just feel like I wouldn't like his fit on this team. Like, I don't know. I just get a bad feeling about OG. That's just me.
It's kind of like a risk, right? Because you don't
Yeah.
know if he's really gonna become what they're projecting him to be.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's just a projection. What has he really accomplished as of yet?
Keith says I'm not trading anything until they get rid of Tom Thibodeau. Gotta love Knicks fans, man. Keith always throwing them bombs in the chat, man. Gotta love Knicks fans. Look, I hear you, Keith. I understand it.
I mean, I don't think he's wrong, really, in my opinion. I mean, look, who's to say Tibbs will be the coach for the Knicks? I think Tibbs is coaching for a contract, in my opinion.
Ooh, think so?
I mean, they haven't extended Tibbs, right? As of
No,
yet, I
no,
haven't
they
missed
haven't.
any news, right?
No,
In my
they haven't.
opinion, I think they're trying to see how far can Tibbs take this team. Which you could say maybe that's not fair, considering they haven't made drastic improvements to the team. The team's largely the same, but what if they say, "Hey, Tibbs, we gave you a slightly improved roster, and you just didn't, you have a worse record than last year. We're gonna, let's move you up into the organization. Let's get
Yeah.
somebody fresh in here. Let's get Johnny Bryant.
Yes, sir.
You know, let's see how things go with him. Who
Yep.
knows, right? Who knows? It's not that far fetched, in my opinion.
Yes, sir. We've been calling for that for a while now, but yeah, I mean, that's that, man. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Talking about the rumors and whatnot. So game, big game coming up tomorrow or today, depending on when you're listening to it, and then a big West Coast trip, man. Got to take care of business out west. Phoenix, the LA Clippers, the Lakers. So it's going to be a big test for our New York Knicks, and hopefully they can come out of this, on the right side and not the wrong side. But anything else you wanted to touch on, Chris, before we head up on here?
Yeah, man. I hope Jalen Brunson can play this game, man. I mean, look, there's been some reports, and I can't remember who mentioned it, but it looks like Jalen Brunson was spotted at a ceremony, and he seemed to be walking fine.
Yeah.
Whether that translates to tomorrow, this game, we'll see. Hopefully, he's out there playing for the Knicks if he's healthy. And any news on Mitchell Robinson yet?
He's out.
Outside of he's out, right?
Yeah, he's out.
Have they said
So
anything on like severity of his injury?
X-rays were negative, and I think he stepped on someone's foot. Came into the second half, but didn't really play long minutes in the second half, and didn't really play in the fourth quarter. So I think he's out, and Brunson is questionable. So that's not it's not a great. It's not great. It's not.
Great.
It's not great.
Look, it could have been a lot worse. Hopefully it's just a minor ankle thing, and
Yeah.
Mitchell will be out there again. But this is why we got iHeart, right? Hopefully we
Yeah.
don't lose too much of a step. iHeart is a warrior, so we should be all right, man.
We should be all right. Chris, we normally end these podcasts with questions. I haven't come up with a question this podcast, but you got anything for me?
Man,
We normally end it with like a favorite
Put me on the
food
spot,
question,
man.
favorite snack question, favorite ice cream.
You know what? I'll go. What's your favorite ice cream?
This is this is gonna mint chocolate chip. I love mint chocolate
Oh,
chip. People hate mint chocolate chip, but I'm telling you, gotta try it. Does not taste like freaking toothpaste. All right, mint chocolate chip. I love it, man. You put
it's
some sprinkles on there, man. That's it. From Carvel. That's
it's
it.
funny. It's funny you say that because that's actually my favorite as well. So
Hey,
you get no arguments from me, man.
I got my daughter into it. She's loving it, and it is what it is. Buzzer Beater says, "Who wins tomorrow and why?" The New York Knicks win tomorrow because the Toronto Raptors are a mess, and if the New York Knicks lose tomorrow, that's going to be a problem heading into this West Coast trip because we're better than the Raptors, and yeah.
Yeah,
And hopefully
I
If
agree.
Brunson can't go, then I would change my tune. But Emmanuel quickly can step in there, right?
Yeah, I mean, even without Jalen Brunson, I feel like we should beat the Toronto Raptors. Look, I know they got Siakam. I know Scotty Barnes is playing out of his mind. And even Dennis Schroeder gives us fits, right? But in my opinion, we should beat that team.
Yeah.
No question, in my opinion, we should beat that team. We have more talent, and that we just got whether Mitchell Robinson is out, Jalen Brunson is out, we should still beat that team because the teams that are coming up after that, that's a game we have to get. I'll just leave it at that.
It is for sure. Chris, are you the Grinch on Christmas? Do you turn off all your lights? Do you have no lights outside? Do you have no decorations? Do you not listen to Christmas music? Are you the Grinch?
I'm far from it, man. I
Yeah.
mean, I was up on the roof earlier today, adding some lights outside. So I'm far from being the Grinch, man. But I'll tell you what, my brother is actually the Grinch because he despises Christmas, and he'll probably get upset that I'm saying this on live YouTube, but it is what it is, man.
You know, I've always wanted to dress up as a Grinch and walk into someone's house that have kids and just like ruin everything. I would love that. Bezelbeer says mint chocolate chip. Anthony, you are a disgusting person. Look, I am telling you, mint chocolate chip is the GOAT. You heard it here
No,
first.
look, I love mint chocolate chip, but a close, well, not even a close second. I'll say as a tie. I love some Rocky Road ice cream, man.
Okay, yeah, I give you that one.
That's like right there, neck and neck.
That's too much chocolate though for me, but I give you that one. I give you that
Nah,
one.
Rocky Road, that's the way to go.
That's the way to go. Yeah, I give you that one.
That's the way to go.
But hey, every time I bring up, look, my favorite is mint chocolate chip. They give me a disgusting look, and you know it's rare. It's like being left-handed. I'm also left-handed, so you know
I'm lefty.
He's lefty too. We both like
It's
mint
a lefty
chocolate chip.
thing. It's a lefty
So
thing.
we're Knicks fans. We got 3 guys in the starting lineup that are lefties too. I mean, hey,
There you
comes
go,
around full
man.
circle. But all right, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Appreciate every single one of you joining. Hit that thumbs up button before you leave. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Anthony. That is Chris. Every Sunday, we are on here at 9:30ish doing live streams. So just in case you didn't know, we are on here every single Sunday doing live streams. So next Sunday, put it on your calendar. We will be on here doing live streams. It is Let's Go Knicks. Hopefully they can beat the Raptors and get this West Coast trip going.
Yes.
But Chris, we out of here, man.
We out.
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.